What is going on today, YouTube? Hope you guys are doing fantastic. Today is OB12 patch, which is out today. Just dropped a few hours ago, and we're just gonna go over the patch quickly. Instead of doing like 3 videos on like the Titan talks and going through the OB12 changes, and then if they change something, then I have to go through the changes of the changes. I'm just gonna do one video when the patch drops and just give you guys the update that way. I think it makes it a lot easier for myself and also for you guys to just consume all of that. But yeah, that's what we're doing for this Open Beta 12. This is dropping... What's the date? Is it the 15th? The 16th. June 16th is when it will be dropping. And it starts with Ganesh. Ganesh will be the next new god.
It's the best day ever.
Nothing really changes too much with Ganesh. The first thing that changes is when he does get an assist from him getting the kill. So like if he gets the kill and he gifts it to somebody else, he will get a bonus amount of gold. And that was my idea, by the way. I told him that they should add something for you giving the kill over, and they decided gold. That was my idea. The second thing, when you're one-hit somebody, if they get hit by a hard crowd control after hitting your one, you'll also do a bonus amount of damage. And this is based on the enemy's level. It is, I think it's just 5. I don't remember exactly what it was. I don't want to spoil, or I don't want to get it wrong, but it's based off of the enemy's level. So the higher the level they are, the more damage it does. Ganesh gains 50% of the protections he provides. He's displacement immune. Another change is he also destroys player-made walls that are not ultimates. So outside of like Odin and Yamoja, he will destroy Anhur, Thor, Ymir walls. That's kind of like his counter now. And then the ultimate is pretty much the same. No real changes there. Now it gets to the exciting part, the aspect of the triumphant for Ganesh. Ohm no longer silences, so his 2 no longer silences. It does damage in front of you and provides allies and yourself movement speed. Turn of Fate's mark now only procs the next time you hit the marked enemy with an ability. So if you won him, your 2 will proc it, your 3 will proc it, your ult proc it. And additionally, you no longer bestow kills to allies, but each god kill provides permanent cooldown rate. And this is a really cool aspect. Weaken already has like he had like 4 or 5 clips of it on his Twitter, a little highlight video of that. It was really cool seeing the combos you can do with this character. Next up, the Wandering Markets. Thorge, which is Thorge Washington. There's also going to be Raw America in the game and Raw America Chrome Eagle Prism. There's a Guan Unicorn Traveler with also 4 prisms: Scarlet Tempest, Morning Haze, Amethyst, Shade, and Blacklight Prism. There's a new Medusa skin, Venom Strike Medusa. And you can also get Blue Coral, White Coral, Black Mamba. And then there's 2 more prisms for Bumblebee Jingwei, which is a beetle, and a pink rose. A lot of this quality of life stuff I'm not going to go over. This is a lot of new player stuff. If you are interested, I'll leave it up for a couple seconds so you can pause and look over it. Nothing too important for veteran players, and then also not too important for veteran players, but maybe for some people. Not for me, I don't care. Scylla also getting a new aspect. Your non-ultimate abilities now provide mana when damaging enemies instead of spending it. I'm a Monster can only be used when at full mana, consuming all of it, and it no longer provides movement speed at all, but can be fired up to 3 times, and the damage scales from your max mana. I'm a Monster stacks immediately provide mana, and max mana you gain bonus damage. Or sorry, at max rank you gain bonus damage. So think of it more like it's a rage bar where you hit your abilities, you hit your abilities, hit your abilities, hit your abilities. Once you're full mana, you unleash 3 I'm a Monster ults. On top of doing extra damage, you also get max mana from hitting your ultimate. So it's very important to be getting those stacks because they're making you do more damage. A little change that they added to make the aspect a little bit better is it used to be just the cost of the ability was how much mana you got. It is now that cost plus 1% of your max mana. So instead of if you get to like 4k max mana, it's not going to take you 100 casts to get to it. It'll take you a lot less because of that 1%. And I think this is a really cool aspect. I think it might be a tiny bit underwhelming, and it drops the 23rd. But I think it's really cool. Conquest is getting a couple changes. The jungle XP changes. The base XP on Elder Harpies, base XP on Small Harpies, and the base XP on the Roaming Harpies is being reduced by a good chunk, really. This was a bug that I actually had happen to me in a ranked game where I cleared everything like normal. Didn't miss. I missed 1 minion, which is fine, because you'll always hit level 2. Except in the scenario where the lowest level XP split bonus mechanic made it so most of the time you were the lowest level in the game in duo lane because you had to clear the most amount of farm. You would get extra XP to then hit level 2. And the only way this would be changed is if somebody on your team was not level 2 and they were going to be getting the lowest level XP split bonus. And I had a jungler who was running around for his life because he was getting invaded by the enemy jungler. So I didn't get the extra XP, but this doesn't really mean anything too important. You'll now just more consistently hit the level 2. And if you ever had a game where you're like, why didn't I hit level 2? It was probably because of that. I'm not going to go over this god balance because this has now been in the game for a little bit, but Agni nerf, Anubis nerf, Apollo nerf, Princess Bari nerf, and Scylla nerfs. Buffs, the important part. Achilles buff. Getting a pretty big buff to his 2, where now putting points into it, you get more crowd control, but you get just really good base numbers. And this is less important for solo Achilles, but for jungle Achilles, you will be getting this strength bonus. You don't really care about the heal, so you're just going to be getting more strength earlier. In solo lane, if you're playing him as like a warrior, you'll be getting 20% increased protections, and you'll also be getting that 30% CCR once you get to that later portion of the game. This is a really big buff for Achilles. It's not like game-breaking for him, but it should help him a good amount. Amaterasu is also getting a couple nice buffs. Movement speed on her 1, and also the healing from intelligence scaling on her 1. On top of that, the intelligence scaling on her ultimate. I don't know what it is, but Ama feels like one of the more underwhelming characters in the game. I don't know if this helps out a ton. I guess just this level 1 going from 5 to 7 is pretty important. But you're not really getting a ton of int in your build unless you're going like the Deathwalker full int build, which is pretty fun because your 2 mitigation scales off int. So there is a possibility that that build could be good, but for tank Ama, I don't think it really helps her too much. Baron Samdi, the damage on his 2 is going up 20 base in the early game, but it ends up being 0 in the late game. I think it just makes it so this feels a little bit better at level 1, 2, 3. You're getting an increased damage scaling per area from 1 to 1.5%, which is a 50% increase, which is a lot. The Geb slow is also being increased from 1 to 2 seconds. It's now going to be 2 seconds at all ranks, which is pretty irrelevant. But Stone Shield is now on a 15-second cooldown, and Cataclysm is also up 40 damage in the early game. And this used to be an ability that had 0 damage on it. It used to be only % health. It's kind of crazy how far it's came, where it is now 540 damage late game, or 560 damage late game, and 160 damage early game. Rama's getting a buff to his 3's damage. His Astral Barrage is also getting an extra buff to his damage. Does this help Rama? I don't know what it is about him, but he feels like he's probably been like a bottom 2 god in the game for his lifetime. I don't know if this helps him that much. I mean, this is a good amount of extra damage. 130 plus 40%. Like on that rolling 3 is going to chunk, but I don't know. I don't know if this helps him enough. And then Sobek Aspect of Prey. A new thing is now the ability will deal bonus damage to jungle monsters. 70 to 215 plus 30% is now going to be 100 to 260 plus 60% int. And I don't know if they went over this when they talked about it, but I don't know if this is, if instead of doing this damage to camps, it does this damage to camps, and this stays as the damage to gods, or what. But I think that's how I interpret it, which doesn't really do a ton. I wish that they just buffed the 3's damage a little bit too, just outright, and not making it only for damage to jungle monsters. But, I mean, it's a start. Next up, Ullr's getting 5% scaling on his axe, and also 10% scaling on his jump. On top of that, Wield Axes, his ultimate, is now going to be 15 early game instead of 10. And also, he's going to be getting an extra little bit of lifesteal and a good amount late game. Lastly, for the buffs, Yamoja's Bouncing Bubble is going to be getting a small damage increase in the early game and a pretty big one in the later portions of the game. The bubble will now be doing 55 to 195 is now 65 to 225. And the small bubbles are now going to be, instead of 27.5 to 97.5, it's going to be 32.5 to 112.5. And the slow also goes up 0.4 seconds from 1 to 1.4. So nice little buff to Yamoja there. And also, we can't forget Yamoja's Aspect is in the game, and this is a pretty good buff to like her early game clear with Aspect. A few nerfs. Willix is getting a nerf. Her ultimate is losing base damage, and also she's losing a good amount of strength, a lot in the later portions. Instead of 60, it is going to be 40. Hunbots is losing 10% scaling on both his 2 and his 3. Kali is losing 3 basic attack power. Period. She just loses it, which hurts her early game a good amount. And also Nimble Strike is losing 20 base damage at all ranks. Lastly, the Morrigan. She used to have a benefit of her ultimate would be based off of her ultimate. So if she bought like World Stone, she could just ult a ton. Now the ability will be matched, will be increased to match the target god's ultimate cooldown. So if the ultimate that you're turning into is a Fenrir, which is 110 seconds, your ultimate will be a 110-second cooldown instead of your ultimate cooldown, which is 60%. So World Stone is, unless I'm misinterpreting this, Worldstone is just not viable on Mori at all. And if I am, comment down below. I'll pin it if I'm wrong, because that's how I read it as. Next, a bunch of item changes. And I'm not going to go through all these individually. It's basically just every jungle ability item is getting a buff, or most of them are getting buffs. Erendite, Avatar Parashu, Avenging Blade, Bloodforged, Brawlers, Dev Gloves, Heartseeker, Hydras, Jotuns, Oathsworn Sword, Pendulum, Shifter Shield, Runeforged, Crusher, Reaper, Titan's Bane, Transcendence, all getting buffs. And then we're also getting some shield changes. Phantom Shell is losing base shield. It is now, instead of 15 to 10 of the per level, it is now, or instead of 15, it'll be 10 per level. So instead of 300 in the later portions, it's 200. And the shield also only lasts 3 seconds. Also, Selflessness and Heroism are getting nerfs. They're getting base shields, but they're losing % max health shields. Mystical Mail, instead of doing max damage to shields, it will now be removing 25% of the active shield per tick. And lastly, Erosion, increase the protection buff stack count from 1 to 2. So now you can get 2 stacks of Erosion if people are slamming shields around you. And a few more changes in this patch. Xerxes Hexstone is losing 50 health and also getting a 10-second cooldown. Dreamer's Idol is getting 15 intelligence. Eye of the Storm is getting a pretty big nerf on the Vortex strength, the Vortex fighting penalty, and they're increasing the self-damage from 4% to 6% max health. The last change in the patch is a change to anti-crit, and it is Spectral Armor. It is losing 20 physical protections, but it is gaining 250 health. So instead of being a 50 prot, 150 health item, it is now 30 prots, 400 health. You'll now be decreasing critical strike damage from 0% to 25%. To put that in easy to understand terms, that crit damage that you're getting hit for, so say instead of 100, you're getting hit by 160, you'll be reducing that by 25%, that's 60, so it'll be 145 instead of 160. But when you're getting up to these massive numbers of, like, you're getting crit for 700, and you buy Spectral Armor, it could be reducing it by like 100 damage. That is all the changes. Let me know down below what you guys think about this patch. OB12 dropping today. It should already be dropped. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you guys have a wonderful day. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.